Welcome to today's webinar of the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. How we doing? Tell us where you're calling in from today. I am in South Dakota and it's sunny out. Took my dog for a walk. It was beautiful. He got a little dirty, so I made him walk through what's left of the snow in our yard, which is barely any, thankfully. But we did get snow last night, which was kind of strange after it was like 70 degrees a few days before. So, you get snow in your yard, Leslie?
Oh yeah. So we live on an acreage too, and we're surrounded by trees. So I feel like it's hard for the sun to get to the snow. So we had 70-degree days a day with a whole bunch of snow in our yard.
All right. Well, we're just patiently waiting for Dr. Saunders to show up. He's at his Thursday location, which I believe is at an acupuncture house or something like that, where he meets patients. He's not an acupuncturist himself, but that's where he's located on Thursdays. So he'll be here. He always shows up. But until then, I'll do a little housekeeping. As you guys continue to say hello, we love to hear from you. So we are Barton Publishing, the Diabetes Solution Kit. This is the best-selling book that we've been selling for over 10 years, and Dr. Saunders is a huge part of that. And what we teach in here is the phase 1 program. There he is. All right. Phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, how to reverse type 2 diabetes. We have to be careful how we say that in our wording, in our advertising and things like that. We can't say it triggers things because they don't want you to say you can cure any type of disease. But type 2 diabetes is completely a lifestyle disease. I would say 99% anyways. I mean, there's sometimes that it's not. But if you follow the steps in this program, you will not have to worry about type 2 diabetes anymore. Is that not correct, Dr. Saunders? Welcome and good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Yeah, actually, if you follow the program well, it works. And we have thousands of people who have done it and it works. And I've had a lot of patients go through it and it works for them too. So yeah, it's a great program.
And the purpose of this webinar is because some people do follow this, but they might be missing some steps or maybe not doing some things quite right. And so there may be questions that you have in following this. And so we answer your questions, and Dr. Saunders is awesome at that. We've been doing this for 81 episodes now. And so if you'd like to watch any of our previous recordings, you can go, oh, I see a blood test kit behind me there, behind you there. That looks like the one I took. Speaking of which, I need to get my results from you. Am I gonna live, Dr. Saunders? I've been waiting.
Well, the lab was supposed to send you the other half. Only half of the tests were done. So
oh man,
they're sending you the other half.
So I got to go in and get my blood taken again.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. You do. It wasn't that bad, honestly. So it was pretty quick. So anyways, back to what I was saying. So if you're watching this, you probably joined us by registering at bartonwebinar.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can do the same and join us live every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And also on bartonwebinar.com, you can get a copy of the Diabetes Solution Kit, either the digital or the printed. You can also learn about the supplements that Dr. Saunders has formulated that help people with blood sugar and nerve pain and their digestion and all sorts of different things like that as well. So, well, let's get rolling. Dr. Saunders, you're in a new location today. Why don't you get us rolling into the basics of type 2?
Okay. So, the basics are always the same, and we go over this sort of in different ways each time to kind of give a different perspective each time. So diabetes is an unfortunate name, and I think insulin resistance would be a much better way of saying it, because the problem is not really diabetes, which literally means peeing too much, making too much urine, because not everybody does that. In fact, a lot of people don't have too much urine. And so to call it diabetes is really a misnomer. It's really not the right name. So it's not the proper diagnosis either. Whereas if you said something like insulin resistance, then you'd know what the problem is. Oh, your problem is insulin resistance. So people could avoid the issues that when you go to your doctor, you have. So that's what I want to talk about today, is the basics of getting a diagnosis of diabetes and going to your doctor and finding out what it is and what happens and everything. So somebody is having issues, and it could be anything from fatigue to sometimes it's peeing too much, to sometimes they don't even know that there's a problem, and a test is done, and then the test comes back, your blood sugar is high, and it's like, oh my gosh, why is my blood sugar high? So then they may do some further tests and find out you have insulin resistance. Well, you go into your doctor for the test results, and the doctor says you have diabetes, and you're like, oh no, diabetes, that's a horrible illness, and people die from that, and all of these issues. You can get amputations of your feet because your nerves don't work, your brain doesn't work. All of these issues that can happen because of diabetes. And so all this goes through your head, and you go, that's pretty scary. Diabetes is really scary. So then the doctor says that you need medication. So you start taking the medication, and in order to lower the blood sugar. But there's a problem with that, is that most of the medications increase your insulin resistance. So while they are making the symptom better, which is the blood sugar is high, right? They are making the problem worse. So the actual problem of insulin resistance is getting worse. So many people who have been put on medications are finding out that as they go down the road, that the doctor says, well, this isn't working anymore, we need to add on another one. And then later on, oh, we need to add on another one. And sometimes people are on 5, 7, 10 medications, because they'd add on the blood pressure medications and the cholesterol medications, and now you're getting overweight, and you're getting depressed, so now you have antidepressants. And so all of these are getting stacked on top of each other, and they interact with each other and cause problems with each other. In the meantime, what's happening? Well, as you gain weight, you're getting more insulin resistance, and the medications are causing you to put on more weight, because they make you hold on to fat more so that you can't burn fat, except for metformin. That's actually a different one. But most of the other ones, that's what they do. They essentially either mimic insulin or they cause increase of insulin to lower the blood sugar. So in the process of lowering the blood sugar, they make you more fat. So what does that do? It causes more insulin resistance. So that's part of the unfortunate thing of a name, of using the word diabetes, because what diabetes really is in peeing too much, sugar diabetes, is where the pancreas quits making insulin. And if your pancreas doesn't make any insulin, then you can't get any sugar into your cells, and the blood sugar goes up and up and up and up. Well, guess what? If you're insulin resistant, you can't get sugar into your cells, and your blood sugar goes up and up and up. So you have two opposite problems, one where you have too much insulin and you're resistant to it, and the other one where you have no insulin, and so there's nothing there. So this one, it has a lot, but it can't use it, and this one has none. So where you have these two opposite problems, the doctor puts it all into one as if it's the same thing. And that's really unfortunate, because that's where people have more problems with treatment than they do if they're not treated. And that's been done in multiple studies. The biggest one was the UKPDS study, where they showed that, and this is thousands of people were studied over a long period of time. And the people who were not treated with medications, they didn't have blood pressure medications, they didn't have diabetes medications, they didn't have cholesterol medications. So guess what? Their sugar was higher, their cholesterol was higher, and their blood pressure was higher. So all of their markers were worse. But over time, guess what happened? The people with the lower blood sugar, lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure because of medications, had 12% more complications, more blindness, more heart disease, more Alzheimer's disease, more amputations than the people who had worse numbers but were not treated with drugs. That is very important to know. And it's the unfortunate thing about using that name diabetes for something that's really not diabetes, it's insulin resistance. So if you had the problem of insulin resistance, then you'd go to your doctor would say, oh, you have insulin resistance. Well, what you got to do? Well, you got to be more sensitive to your insulin. Well, what can I do there? Well, there is a drug called metformin that actually does assist in that. It helps that somewhat. It does have side effects. It's not totally benign, but at least it doesn't cause more insulin resistance. So that would be a drug that would be in the armamentarium of a regular doctor who could, that would then actually help the problem somewhat. But then to understand how to decrease your insulin resistance, you have to lower the amount of insulin that your pancreas makes because you have too much insulin. So how do you get less insulin? Well, eating less. It comes down to just eating less. Fasting is a great way to do it. That's eating nothing. And when you eat nothing, you don't make insulin. And if you don't make insulin, then your cells start opening up and going, oh my gosh, we need some more sugar. And so they'll be more sensitive to the insulin that's around because there's always a small amount with type 2. So what the diabetes solution kit is one of the ways that you become more insulin. Joe, you've changed. Hey, you're a little more hairy than you used to be.
Hey Gus, say hello.
There's Gus.
He needs a haircut.
Gus, you need a haircut.
Okay, sorry about that. And he's gone.
That's all right. So So becoming more insulin sensitive is by decreasing the amount of carbohydrates that you eat. In the case that we've used the ketogenic type diet, lowering carbohydrates so that you don't make so much insulin. And in not making insulin, then you become more sensitive to insulin. So you can do it by fasting. You can do it by cutting out fats. But either way, no matter how you look at it, you have to lower. You have to decrease, you have to cut out and take out all this excess because really insulin resistance is sugar toxicity. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Yes,
that's a good reminder. You've talked about that in the past about toxicity and how you can be toxic on anything, like even water. But sugar is so easy to get toxic on. And so toxicity, can you talk a little bit about what does that mean? Like, is it too much?
Yeah, too much of anything. Like you said, water. If you drink too much water, you deplete the sodium. When you deplete the sodium, then you can't maintain your blood volume. And then your nerves don't work if you don't have the right sodium potassium balance. And people die from water toxicity, from just getting too much because they aren't able to maintain their nerve function and everything. Sugar toxicity is a little different. It is, there's too much sugar. The cells are full of sugar. Your body's full of sugar and the insulin receptors are decreasing and everything's becoming sort of resistant to all this excess sugar. And that's what insulin receptors do. And so one of the things that happens with sugar toxicity is the brain stops getting enough sugar. So the brain, it literally starts starving in the midst of all this, like in a sea of sugar, like your sugar's always 200 and 300, but it can't cross the blood-brain barrier. So the brain starts starving and it shrinks down and people get dementia, Alzheimer's, memory problems, and all kinds of neuropathies because their nervous system is just not getting energy in a sea of sugar. So toxicity is this excess. There's just too much of it. And that's true with anything. If you have too much of anything, well, almost anything, you can get whatever damage or whatever metabolic process is going to be inhibited by that toxicity. It's going to be different for everything. You know, amino acids, proteins, you can get toxic on those. You can get toxic on minerals. Most of the minerals can cause toxicity with too much. So it's just too much. That's all, toxicity. You take the most toxic thing, one of the most toxic things known to man is botulism toxin. And yet people are paying thousands of dollars to have that injected into their foreheads and face and everything. I had a patient recently have it injected into her thighs. This botulism toxin, it's one of the most toxic things known to man, but they give very, very tiny amounts. And it still is toxic, but it doesn't do any damage because it's just a tiny amount.
Okay, I've got a question. So we've got a brand new product that we just launched this past week, and it's called NiagaraXL. If you can see that. There we go. And so this is, we call it male testosterone performance formula, but the ingredients in it aren't necessarily things that women can't have. But I just wanted to ask you, because I've been taking this, I have to, use my own products and try them out. But question, so, and I'm not the only one that said this, but I've experienced like a increase in my mental focus and ability to like be productive and just like kind of like zone in and just, I don't know, focus better mentally. Is that something that maybe the pine bark extract could be partly because of that, or any other ingredients that you can think of about it? Because I know you just wrote about the pine bark extract in Home Cures That Work, and that was something that it talked about. So I'm curious.
Okay, the answer to that is yes, all of them or any of them. So the reason for the formulation, the reason it has multiple ingredients is to be able to work from different sides. So it's not just a single ingredient. And that's been done for centuries. If you go to herbal specialists, they'll go, oh, we'll mix a little bit of chamomile and a little bit of kava kava, a little bit of this will calm you down. And if you go to a Chinese herbalist, that's really funny. One of my friends is a Chinese herbalist, and you go into his place and it smells horrible. It's like, it does not smell good at all. And he's got all these bins all over the place, and he puts a glove on and goes, just with his hand, go some of that and some of that and some of that, and just he's putting it all into this formula. And then he shakes it up. He goes, "Here you go, make a tea out of that." So you make a tea out of it, and it smells horrible. You drink it down. But this combination of factors work together synergistically to help partly the testosterone, but partly the function generally of the body. So the pycnogenol, the pine bark extract, is something that has been very useful for circulation. It decreases inflammation. It's really a potent antioxidant, and it helps the brain function better. It's been used for ADHD, but it also helps the circulation and other things. That, people that have swelling in their legs, it helps that. So yes, while these ingredients do help you make and use testosterone and balance those testosterone to estrogen ratios, it also has other effects on the body that are beneficial.
Yeah, that pine bark extract that you wrote the article about was fascinating. Like all the different benefits that it talked about that it helped with, like it was amazing. And I think this has 180 milligrams in it, I believe. Like the print on this, hopefully this helps my eyesight because it's really small print. But let's see here. Where did it go? Pine bark extract. Here it is. Yes, 180 milligrams. And I think in the article you talked about like 100 to 200 milligrams a day was a really good daily dose. So correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways,
well, there's a reason for that. It's not that it's magical. It's just that when you have a lot of different effects on the body, like diabetes causes a whole bunch of different effects. It affects your brain, your heart, your kidneys, the nerves. From head to toe, this one problem of high blood sugar is affecting it. Well, so you fix that one problem and boom, from head to toe, everything works. And you go, wow, that's magical. It's not magical. It's just that's what it affects. So the same kind of thing with the pine bark extract. The inflammation affects everything in your body, the function of your liver and kidneys and heart and your blood vessels. And so you fix the inflammation and boom, everything works. It's just, it's really good.
Yeah. I did notice like it seems to work better when I have a good night's sleep the day before as well. Like the one day that I didn't have a great day, I didn't sleep good. I went to bed too late and got up early, just didn't sleep well. So you've talked about sleep a lot in the past, and that's important for people with blood sugar and diabetes issues and things like that. And so maybe since today is the type 2 basics again, let's tell people again, what is the 610 reset and why is it important to follow that?
Okay. So if you've ever heard of circadian rhythm is, we call it the sleep-wake cycles, because you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels go up, and then you go to sleep at night, cortisol levels drop down. And so you have this cycling that's going on all the time. And people often just look at, I'm asleep, I'm awake. But there's so much more to it than that, because your metabolism completely changes between night and day. And during the day, we have what's called a catabolic metabolism. And catabolic means breaking down. So you're breaking down your body. It's kind of like driving a car. I'm driving my car. I can be super careful driving my car, but the engine's getting hot. The oil's getting toxins in it. I'm wearing out the engine. I'm wearing out the seats I'm sitting in. I'm wearing out the tires. Everything is getting old and aging because I'm driving the car. It's the same thing with my body. During the day, during catabolic metabolism, I'm breaking down my body. My muscles and tendons and ligaments and brain and everything is breaking down. I'm heating up my brain and causing all this toxicity in the brain, literally. And so what we can do that a car can't, though, is at night when we're asleep, we go into this anabolic mode. And the anabolic mode is the repair, fix, detox, cleanse, clean up. Every damage that we did during the day is cleaned up at night if you go into anabolic mode. And it's very not difficult. It's not really hard. It's just that it's very precise in becoming anabolic. You don't automatically become anabolic. The default is catabolic. You're always breaking down unless you become anabolic. So in order to do that, you have to have human growth hormone, you have to have testosterone, you have to have melatonin, you have to have ghrelin. All these anabolic hormones have to be made, or else you don't become anabolic. And so the turning off the lights by 9 o'clock, getting the melatonin to be made, going to sleep by 10 o'clock so that you get your spike in human growth hormone, and then having an empty stomach so you get that ghrelin, which initiates all the repair processes in your body. And so if you eat before you go to bed, it doesn't work. If you go to bed late, it doesn't work. So you have to be in bed by 10 o'clock with an empty stomach. So the 610 reset is stop eating by 6 o'clock. And that doesn't mean have a whole pizza and a pint of beer at 6 o'clock, because that's going to take many hours to empty out of your stomach. It means have a light dinner before 6 o'clock so that your stomach's empty by the time you go to bed. How do you know? You're hungry. If you're hungry, you're making ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. And that tells your body, I'm hungry. I want to eat. And that's how you know it's time to go to sleep. Well, you should go to sleep by about 10 o'clock anyway, because there's a spike that happens when your circadian rhythm and your cortisol is at its lowest point. You make that human growth hormone. It is a very precise mechanism, and becoming anabolic is how you repair every night and fix all of the damage that you've done, even if you have diabetes.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by CinnaChroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking CinnaChroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated CinnaChroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With CinnaChroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those two together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using CinnaChroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get CinnaChroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, CinnaChroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. Yes, that's good stuff. Great recap. Thank you for that. I had a message from our co-host here, Leslie, and she thought it would be great for you to tell a little bit or talk about the how people can actually work with you directly, Dr. Saunders, because we forgot to do our disclaimer today, so we'll do it right now. But this webinar is for informational purposes only, and anything you can say or do will be held. No, that's a different line. But no, this is for informational purposes because, you know, Dr. Saunders is not technically your doctor and doesn't know your situation and all that. And so we need to say that. But if you do want Dr. Saunders to be your doctor, he practices telemedicine. We call it Dial-A-Doc, and he's been doing that with my family and people on my team for many, many years. And it's a great opportunity to be able to call or text or email him with your personal questions, and then he can get to know your history and things like that. But could you give your office contact info on how to do that and talk a little bit more about what that program entails?
Okay, so the program is not for everyone. What I do is instead of using drugs to treat symptoms, I look for the root cause of why somebody has something. And because diabetes isn't a single problem, there's a whole bunch of reasons why you could have diabetes. And so now there's like type 1, type 2, gestational. There's the type 1.5. You know, that they're trying to ferret out all these different types of diabetes, when I don't look at it that way as type 1 and type 2. Do you have too much insulin or not enough insulin? You know, it's a different way of looking at it in terms of why is this happening. So if you have an issue with, you don't know why, and your doctor isn't able to discover why you have the issue, or you've been through the Barton Publishing program and you've done the 610 reset, and you've done the diabetes reversal plan, diabetes solution kit, and you're not seeing results, and you're going, what the heck, why? That's where I can help you, is in the process of discovering why. So I have a membership, and the membership is $49 a month. And so people call me with questions, and that's all okay. And then office visits are billed. We bill insurance, so I take insurance, and that membership can be for a long time, or it could be just for a short time for the process of discovering why you have the issues.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people get frustrated because they can't find a good doctor like you locally that will look for the root cause. They don't have more than 5 minutes to spend with people, and they'll come in and come out. That's kind of like your story when you first graduated medical school and began practicing through the UCLA system, and you were seeing patients every 4 minutes, and you basically, all you could do is find out what's wrong and prescribe medications and go to the next person. And sadly, that's continues to happen in our world, in our country. And
yeah, my mom went to the doctor. She lives in Boise, Idaho, and she went to the doctor and she says, okay, I've got this and this and this. And they go, no, one problem at a time. You can only talk about one thing. And I think that's ridiculous, because a human being is not like a machine where you have your IT engineer can do this, and then the mechanical engineer does this, and electrical engineer does that. This is like a body where everything is integrated. So I don't know how doctors do it today. I can imagine most doctors will be very frustrated in having to say, nope, I can only deal with one problem. You have to make another appointment for the other problem, and that's a separate thing. Whew.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Well, $49 a month. I mean, there aren't many better deals you'll find anywhere in all of healthcare, I think, for that. So to get set up with that, it's call his office, 805-688-7171. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's
805-688-7171. All right. Well, we love to, connect people with you because we know how much you can help people more than most people can, most doctors can. So appreciate you doing that and offering that. So we got about a half an hour left here. So we want to get to questions from people that are on here. So Leslie, let's turn things over to you and go ahead and tell us what questions have come in so far. And feel free, if you're watching this, to type your questions into the Q&A section in Zoom or in the chat or on Facebook, even on YouTube comments. We'll go back and find them for future episodes. So, all right.
Let's go ahead and take this question from Facebook. This is from Jeffrey. He's a type 2. He is also on an insulin pump. He said, I'm on 6 different medications for diabetes. Where should I start to try to eliminate some of them?
Thank you. Don't eliminate them without the help of your healthcare provider. There was a reason you were put on them in the first place. So if you're on an insulin pump, that must mean you're not making insulin, but that may not be the case because I've had some doctors not test for insulin and just start putting people on insulin. So first thing to do is test, find out what's going on. So one of the tests you need is called C-peptide. It's just C-peptide. And that C-peptide is a marker for the amount of insulin your pancreas is making. So that gives you an idea if your pancreas is putting out insulin. You also need an insulin level, but the problem with that on an insulin pump is the types of insulin that they use in the pump are not exactly the same as the ones of the natural insulin. So it'll be, the Humulin is, but not all of them are. So the amount of insulin, you can't take it one for one and say, oh, I have this much insulin, but it'll give you a sort of an idea. If your insulin level is around 10, that's great. If it's around 20, it's a little high. But if it's 100, then you're going, whoa, that's a lot of insulin. So it'll still give you an idea. So the C-peptide, insulin level, and then you're already doing like sugar, hemoglobin, A1C and that. And then the triglycerides are also very helpful. If your triglycerides are really elevated, then that makes you more insulin resistant. A lot of people don't know that fat makes you insulin resistant. Triglycerides is fat. And so if your fat levels are 300, your triglyceride level is 300, I've had people 1,000 where you draw their blood and you let it sit for a minute and the fat floats to the top, and like the top half of the tube is fat. It's just like yellow fat. And then the blood is, the other half at the bottom. But that fat in the blood makes you insulin resistant. So then, you have super high insulin levels, super high sugar levels, and super high fat levels. Bad news. So though you need testing to find out what it is that you need to do, and then very carefully take medications off as your blood sugar is dropping down when you're on the diabetes solution kit reversal program.
All right. Good stuff. Those of you on Facebook, feel free to ask more questions there. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can while we're live. Our time is fairly limited with Dr. Saunders, so ask them quickly. Okay, Mike had emailed this question as well. My A1C was 6.0 last time I talked with you guys. It is now 5.9. I've completely cut out all carbs and sugars, even zero fruit. He's much better with his urination, his blurry vision, etc. So my question is today, as a pre-diabetic, I've completely cut out gluten and dairy, casein, and whey protein. Why do I continue to have this itching problem? Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, okay. This is a very good question, but you've done an amazing thing when you think about it. Being able to go from a diabetic state with a hemoglobin A1C of 8 down to 5.6, 5.6 is non-diabetic. Yeah, it's like pre-diabetic. It's a little bit insulin resistant, but that is amazing. So what you've done is amazing. Okay, now the itching problem. The itching is not necessarily from the sugar or whatever. That's a different issue entirely. In fact, I have found a lot of people with itching have a histamine problem. Histamine is a neurotransmitter that works in everything in your body. It works everywhere in your body. It's what causes you to wake up so you can't sleep. So if you have high histamine, then people, they go to bed and they're just like, gee, I'm not even tired. You know, they're awake. It's the wake up hormone in the brain. But it is also when they inject histamine under the skin, people go, wow, that's so itchy. They just want to dig it out. And if you've seen people that are scratching so much, they're digging holes in their skin, that's histamine. So this itching, especially if it's all over, is usually an elevated histamine problem. So try something called quercetin, Quercetin, quercetin. It should come with something called bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme that helps you absorb the quercetin because it's not well absorbed. Quercetin, and you can go up on the dose. I've had people with asthma, with allergic asthma, as high as 6,000 milligrams, 6 grams a day. And it usually comes in like 500 milligrams. So you start off with like 1-3 times a day. If that's not working for the itching, go to 2-3 times a day. Most people are better there, but you could even up the dose to 3 times a day, 4 3 times a day. What that does is it prevents the mast cells, the white blood cells, from releasing histamine so that it lowers the histamine level. And you may find you sleep better and you digest better because histamine also causes you to make more stomach acid, causes acid reflux. So this neurotransmitter isn't just the itching. It's like it's ubiquitous in your body. It's everywhere. And it's in food. And so we have an enzyme in our stomachs that break down histamine in the food so that we don't get excessive histamine in the body and create all these problems. So just try the quercetin, and that should prevent you from making excess histamine, releasing it into your skin and creating that itching.
All right. We have a question about the iodine. How much do you recommend that someone takes, or how many drops a day is suggested?
Oh, well, 1 dropper a day is about the right amount. What is that? 20 drops a day. You don't have to count the drops. I just take up a dropper and put it in my juice and I'm done, or even water. It doesn't taste bad at all. But 1 dropper a day, and it's not rocket science. You have to think about this as food. You know, how many oranges should I eat every day? You know, how much pineapple should I have every day? It's not that you have to have a certain amount every day. It's that you need it. It's a necessary nutrient. So if you're taking it and you skip a day, you don't have to go, oh no, I forgot my iodine. It's okay. It's not a problem. So just take a dropper full every day or so. If you miss a day, no problem. If you want to take 2 dropper fulls and another on once a week, that works too. And you'll get plenty of iodine. You're not gonna be deficient if you're getting it periodically.
Okay, this question is from David, and I just realized what he was talking about. It says, what happened to Joe's surprise last Thursday evening? And I believe that was an email that was going to go out about a new men's product.
That was the one you just talked about.
Yeah, that's NiagaraXL. Yep.
So maybe if you didn't get the email or you want more information about that, you should be able to go to webinar and see that product listed on the website, correct?
Yeah, bartonnutrition.com, I think. I don't think it's on the webinar site, but bartonnutrition.com has it. Also, if you check your emails so our email assistant, Esther, she sends out some of the emails, and if you type in her name to search your emails, you probably find it there. And otherwise, we could probably, if you shoot us your contact info, we could send you a link to that. Actually, I could find the link here before we finish, and I'll post it in the chat here. So
perfect.
Yeah. But there were a couple of questions about Niagara. Douglas and Karen, if you want to ask those while we're talking about it.
Sure. Okay, Karen said, so why would it be good to take the new product NiagaraXL for males?
Uh, um, Very often, as men age, or for whatever reason, stress, for example, or it's a certain body type. Not everybody is the same. We're all different. So some people, men, have lower testosterone levels, and that's a risk. You know, you think that too much. We often talk about the excessive because our program is about too much. But sometimes what we need is a little more. So testosterone is one of the anabolic steroids. We were talking the anabolic hormones. It's an anabolic hormone that helps you repair and improve your body and build muscle, but it also helps the brain be more focused. And so the focus, the drive, and keeping up your muscle mass, it's important to have enough testosterone. And due to stress or excessive, if other hormones will have negative feedback, for example, if you have high estrogen, then it has a negative feedback, you make less testosterone, and you need to change that ratio. That's one of the things that the herbs do in the NiagaraXL. So it's for people who need it, for men who need it. And how do you know you need it? Well, if you haven't tested, one of the things you can do is if you're having the symptoms of, gee, I don't have focus. I try and work out and I just never build any muscle. You just try it. It's one of those things that you can try and see if it works for you. I mean, Joe, who doesn't have any problem with keeping muscle mass, tried it and he said, wow, you know what? I have better focus. See?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Bliss is asking, he said, I had prostate cancer. Would this be beneficial to him, or would it cause a raise in testosterone where cancer patients do not want that?
Excellent question. That is a really good question. So there's this myth out there because somebody wrote it once in a medical journal, and it's just been perpetrated that testosterone is fertilizer for prostate cancer. Actually, it's the ratio between estrogen and testosterone that's the most important. So what this does is it improves the ratio of the testosterone to estrogen so that your estrogen is relatively lower than your testosterone, so that it prevents or decreases your risk of prostate cancer. So if you have a risk of prostate cancer, it would actually help. So it's beneficial for that.
All right, good stuff. Question from Andy. I've just been prescribed allopurinol as I have had buildup of uric acid in my system due to excess proteins. I also take one metformin tablet in the morning and one tablet in the evening. I was told that I will need to take that same thing longer term. Okay, longer term. Is that the likely situation, or will a major reduction in proteins resolve the issue? And is there an overlap with my blood sugar?
Okay.
A1C was 6.5 at his last test.
Okay. So definitely all of the above is true. Yes, you may need to take it all your life, but that may not be the case if you change the proteins. What's really interesting is excessive protein can be a risk factor for this, but that's not the whole picture, because the sugar, the excess sugar, is also part of the risk factor for this. So our talk today is about too much, right? Toxicity. Allopurinol blocks you from making the uric acid so that you don't build up uric acid and create kidney stones, for example. But the other way to do that is to decrease your protein intake. And what's really interesting is even protein from beans has been shown to increase the uric acid. So the way to handle this is, number one, get your blood sugar under control. Number two, avoid excessive protein intake. Fruits and vegetables have protein in them. You can't get deficient in protein if you're eating enough fruit and vegetables. So that will work just fine. And then controlling your blood sugar. And then you may not need the allopurinol. And the way you test for that is you can test uric acid levels. And you want to keep that level below 5, ideally. Below 7 is considered normal, but the optimum is right around 5 or under 5.
Okay. I like this question from Paul. If I was a patient of Dr. Saunders, what would his number one advice be to me? I have had type 2 for over 25 years on the diabetes solution program for 10 weeks and have seen significant improvement in glucose readings, but would like to accelerate my progress.
So my number one advice to you is be patient. When you're seeing progress, that's wonderful. If you stop seeing progress, then make changes. Because the people that make really rapid progress very often revert, and they go back and they go, yeah, I did that once. And now I'm off that diet. That was a crazy diet. So don't do anything crazy. Keep going. Just stay on the program, stay with the program. That's why there's 3 steps. Step 1, to get everything down to normal again. If you were at 6 before, well, that's pretty close. That's 6.5 and up is diabetic. So if you're under 6.5, then you're technically non-diabetic, but you still have insulin resistance. So stay on it and keep going. Don't stop. Just keep going and be patient.
All right. Liz is back. Liz, yes.
Yeah, Liz.
Lease. No, I said it wrong. Darn it. I've been saying it right for like 3 weeks and then I just slipped. It's Lise. Sorry, Lise. Why take Jardiance at dinner time?
Why? Why do you have to take it at dinner time? Because your overnight insulin, it's going to work better while you're fasting overnight. So you take it dinner time, then your stomach gets empty, and then you get the greatest benefit because then you start your liver your pancreas starts making glucagon, and then this stops you from excessively putting out excessive sugar. So yeah, it's better to take it at night.
All right. We have a question about the COVID vaccine. What is the best shot to get for a person who had a ruptured brain aneurysm and left breast cancer? A lumpectomy performed December of 2000. Aneurysm was 2015. I'm considering Johnson & Johnson.
Okay. Okay. So the answer to that question is nobody knows. There's no research. So we don't have any long-term studies. The animal studies weren't done. They kind of skipped that part. None of these were FDA approved because none of them have gone through the approval process. So everybody who's getting the vaccines is doing an experiment. They're being part of the big human experiment right now. So it's okay. I don't know. The Johnson & Johnson is an adenovirus vector. So they use a different virus called an adenovirus that can then inject the RNA into the cells. So there's just either way, your body is making the viral parts, proteins that then you're supposed to be making antibodies against, cleaning them up, making antibodies. It's not the best way to create immunity. You're actually, the best immunity you get is cellular immunity, and you get that from getting the virus. So when you get the virus, you infect the cells then change, then the macrophages come in and eat them and take them out, and that's where you get the optimal immunity for prevention of future infections. So that Merck kind of said that. Merck was making a vaccine, and they go, you know what? You don't really get good immunity from the vaccines. What you really need to do is get the virus and then treat it, because now we have treatments that are 100% effective. And I'm kind of in agreement with that. I like Merck's point of view better than Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson.
Okay, good. Jeffrey says, what does the A1C really measure and how do you read it? These are good questions today.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, the A1C. Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so hemoglobin is in all of your red blood cells. So the color red is due to hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is a huge protein molecule. It is huge. And it has iron in the middle of it. But it's a protein all the way around. And all of this protein is amino acids. And these amino acids can bind sugar. So when this protein is going around in the blood and there's sugar in the blood, glucose, the glucose attaches to the protein, to the hemoglobin protein. And the higher the blood sugar, the more attached to it. Or the longer it's in the blood, the more attached to it. Either way, it's the same. Well, the average red blood cell lasts for about 3 months. So these red blood cells are swimming around in your blood for 3 months, bathed in glucose. Well, if your glucose is 100, then they have 10 sugars attached to them. If your glucose is 300, then they have 30 sugars attached to them. And that's what hemoglobin A1C is. So it's a percentage. If you look at if you look at what it is, you'll see that it's a percentage. So it's a relative amount of sugar attached to that hemoglobin molecule. So you can measure your hemoglobin A1C today, tomorrow, the next day, and it's not going to change that much. But if you drop your blood sugar down in 3 months, you'll say, wow, there's a big difference. That's why it's not really helpful to do the hemoglobin A1C on a daily basis. You really look at it on a month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, because it's an average. It's a marker for the average blood sugar. Is that clear?
Good. I think we need to capture that. We'll have to maybe add that to our website. I don't know. Okay. Lots of good questions. Frank is asking, what is your take on CBD oil? Is it okay to use?
Okay. Wow. Yes, I've studied CBD. I had patients on CBD. Actually, it's pretty good, but it's not for everyone. So people will tell you, oh yeah, everyone should be taking this. No, everyone should not be taking this. But if you have neuropathy, you may find that CBD oil helps relieve some of the symptoms of neuropathy. The way it works is not the same way THC works. THC is what people get high on in marijuana. CBD does not get you high because it doesn't stimulate the cannabinoid receptors. Instead, it kind of halfway blocks them and tells your body to make more endocannabinoids. It's what your body makes that bind those receptors. So it induces your body to make more of the endocannabinoids. That's the best way to explain what it does, so that it's not being a direct stimulant. It's actually telling you just make more of your own. And so when it works, it's wonderful. I've had people use it for sleep. I've had people use it for neuropathy. I had somebody who was on 3 opiate medications, and that means morphine and Norco and Percocet. He's taking all 3 of them, and he wanted to get off them. And we used CBD oil to get him off 2 of those, where he was only taking the long-acting morphine, and the other medications he was able to get off of just using CBD. So, I have found it in some people to be useful. I've had plenty of other people where they say that doesn't do anything, because it's not a stimulant. It's not like THC.
Jeffrey is wondering what the best way is to take CinnaChroma before a meal, after a meal. It says he's on insulin, and so he's wondering if he should take that before or after. Does it matter?
Either way, it doesn't matter. It's better with a meal because the absorption is better with a meal. But it's so we usually say take it with breakfast. Or if you take it twice a day, one with breakfast, one with dinner, that's fine.
Okay, those of you who are new, remember you can go to bartonwebinar.com. I did post that link on Facebook. You can sign up for this free webinar that we do once a week, mostly focusing on type 2, but lots of other topics as well. And I think Joe posted some links here on Zoom. We had some people asking about how to get some things. So you can go to bartonnutrition.com, and there's a direct link to our new product, I believe. All right, Joe?
Yes. NiagaraXL, I posted in the chat. There's 2 different pages. One of them is me with a video explaining more about it, and then the other one is just the order page. So, and then if you use the coupon code, if you want to save another 25%, go ahead and use the coupon code webinar25 when you check out. So happy to offer that extra discount for you guys because you're watching this webinar with us. So, and thanks everybody that shared your reasons why. I love to hear. We've got a lot of people that have been with us for like a lot of our different webinars, and they come back each week, and that's a testament to you, Dr. Saunders. Most of the people are saying they just learn so much, and they also like to share what they learn with their loved ones, and so that's pretty cool to hear about. That this is going, people are consuming it, learning it, educating themselves, practicing what they're learning, experiencing results, and sharing that with others, and that's amazing. That's why we do this, really. So, yeah. Hello. Okay, today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by Easy Relief Magnesium Spray. Now, this is fast absorbing magnesium that is a topical spray that you spray on your skin. And it is vital for over 300 functions in your body. Now, the nice thing about this magnesium is, first of all, you don't have to ingest it, so you can't take too much of this. Your skin is great at absorbing only what it needs. So you spray about 30 to 50 sprays of this per day, and I personally do it 2 to 3 times a day of 10 to 15 sprays, and I do it on my chest and my legs typically. And this is going to correct the deficiencies that most people have. Now, how do you know if you need magnesium? Usually the symptoms are you have muscle cramps, trouble sleeping, if you're fatigued, if you have erratic blood sugar, if you experience any type of numbness or tingling, or if you feel down in the dumps or feeling blue. Now, those are all different types of symptoms that a lot of times magnesium can help with. So highly recommend this product of Easy Relief Magnesium. It is super easy. You spray it on. You don't have to take a pill or anything like that, and you don't have to worry about absorbing too much. This absorbs quickly. Now, this will get into your body in less than 2 minutes, into the bloodstream and circulating through. So it's a lot faster than if you take a pill with magnesium in it. So it's super important for metabolism, metabolic function. If you have insulin resistance, magnesium will probably help with that. There's a connection between low magnesium and insulin resistance. It's great for relaxation and sore muscle relief. It helps you sleep. Great for muscle cramps and achy joints. There's no sticky residue. So a lot of times if you find a different magnesium spray, it's not bonded with water like this process has done. So this doesn't leave a sticky residue at all. So it's great. It doesn't sting. It improves your mood. And there's just all sorts of different, again, there's 300 different functions that magnesium is used in the body. Highly recommend it. It's 365-day guarantee, just like anything. You can get it at bartonnutrition.com. And if you want to save 25% in addition to our already discounted prices, use this coupon code webinar25 as a coupon code. Again, that's at bartonnutrition.com and Easy Relief Magnesium. Highly recommend it. Dr. Saunders approved. It's all natural and safe. Get yours today. All right, thanks. Now back to the webinar.
All right. I think we're about out of time. So unless I missed anything.
Yeah. We might have time for 1 or 2 more questions if anybody else has any, but I think we covered all of them this time, which is rare. We did well. We were quite efficient today. So good job, everybody.
Efficiency.
Yeah. And if you want to check out our previous recordings, we've covered a lot of good things there. Just go to bartonwebinar.com and you can either click on the YouTube link, or we have like our 8 most frequently asked questions that are right on that page. So, okay. Well, thanks, Dr. Saunders. Give us one last parting word here, and then we'll say see you later. And yeah.
Okay, so I really loved that one question of what is the one thing Dr. Saunders would recommend for me, because everybody's different. Just have patience with yourself. Start trying to find out why. Why did this work for this person and it doesn't work for me? My friend did this. Why isn't that working for me? And start asking the question why. If you always ask the question why, it's the hardest question to answer, but when you get answers to it, that is a miracle.
Yep. Great stuff. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Thank you, Dr. Saunders. Thank you, Leslie. And we will see you guys next week at 11 a.m. Central Time on Thursday. So good stuff. Enjoy your rest of your week and God bless. Take care. See you next time.